All right, looks like we're just about at time here, so I'm going to get started. First of all, I want to say thank you for everybody tuning in tonight. This is the third in our series of expert forum series. And again, the plan the education department here at Ricobor has is if you take all of our offerings over a 2-year period, you'll have all of your continuing credit hours satisfied, and it didn't cost you anything except being a member of the Rhode Island Commercial and Appraisal Board. So that is our goal. We got a couple of 3-hour classes coming out later in the year. But again, this is our third in the professional expert series. At first, I want to thank our sponsors, Navigant Credit Union, Shadone Law, All Dry, and Vantage Builders. And on that note, also, if you're working with a client that would like to get exposure to all the commercial and appraisal realtors in the state, have Jack send you an application for sponsorship, and we'd sure like to have another, half a dozen sponsors with these programs as well. But those are our current sponsors. Use them if you can. If you have a need to, please refer them out. Third in our series tonight, it's going to be Mr. Robert Fox. Robert is a commercial real estate professional, experienced commercial real estate specialist with a proven track record in retail, multifamily, industrial, leasing, land development, and hospitality. Adept at building commercial divisions, leading teams, and driving successful transactions. Robert is currently working at NAI as a commercial real estate advisor, and he is also this year's Ricobor president-elect. So with no further ado, one thing I do want to say is we do have a chat box here at the bottom or top of your screen. If you have a question during the presentation, please feel free to type it into the chat, and Jack and I will be monitoring that. But this is entitled How to Build Your Own Database and Be Your Own Listing Agent. Take it away, Robert.
All righty. So welcome to my class. My hope in this class is to teach everybody how they can build up a list of numbers and be able to have a consistent deal flow. So I'm going to basically teach you my secret sauce from the last couple of years and hope that you guys can utilize it, whether it's for yourself or for other agents around you. So we're going to start off how to build your database and be your own listing agent. All you need are 3 websites, some time, a few hundred phone calls, and tomorrow, your business could change tomorrow. So going on, so I'm going to teach you all the steps that are involved in this. So what are we building and why? We're going to build a database of subjectively likely sellers. I used a website, Prospect Now, for a couple of years. They gave us likely sellers, and after a couple months of usage, it dawned on me that this is all public data. So we're going to go after likely sellers. We're going to make a database that you can use to cold call. It's a way to be self-sufficient. And the number one saying that I learned years ago was that you list and you last. So it's a great opportunity to really understand the psychology and the reasoning behind everything I do, and the reason that you're going to want to do it too. So tools that you're going to need, I use 4 websites. I use ripropinfo.com. It's a free website. I use OpenCorporates for my LLCs, and I use White Pages, which will cost a little bit of money, not much. And then if not White Pages, there's other apps like Forewarn. There's other skip tracing websites you can use to find people's numbers. But White Pages, I've found, has been the most accurate. So the steps in this process. So this is what your first website is going to look like when you want to do this. You're going to want to pick a location, pick a city. This is RI Prop Info's website. So you would just simply hit the assessor page for the town you want to do. Something to note too is that not all cities have Vision Government Solutions. Vision Government Solutions is going to be the most helpful website. So if you want to do what I'm doing at the end of this is where I would start. So you're going to want to begin. So you want to begin and you want to go to the sales search. And when we do this, we want to be able to, it's going to bring up a screen where we want to manipulate the data. We want to be able to capture all the properties that have field cards. So they started doing field cards in 1900s, and you want to go up to a date that you think that you could help someone. This could be good for commercial, it could be good for residential, it could be good for anything in this realm. So first we're going to do sales date range. We're going to obviously do 1900 to 2015, 2016. There's people that are still listing their properties now that bought in 2018. It really is up to you. So the next thing you want to do is the sales price. We want to manipulate this so we have everything in between. So you want to, if you're looking up multifamilies, you want to make sure you have every multifamily that is in the town. So you'll just do some crazy infinite number. Same with the land area and same with building area. So this is going to be the box that you're going to say I want to get all the properties between this date and this date, this price and this price, this area and this area. It's going to be I'll explain it a little bit better. And the rest of the page on the bottom half, you're going to have models, neighborhoods, and styles. So models is just relevant to what you're looking up. So if you're looking up commercial properties, if you're looking up residential, multifamily, you might select a couple of those boxes. And then comes the styles. And then now this is where it comes even more specific. What do you want to look up? Do you want to look up apartment houses? Do you want to look up banks? Do you want to look up storage, retail? This is where you are able to really specify exactly what it is that you want to do. So this is going to be step one of this whole process. So now you want to click. So now once you do that, it's going to bring up a screen, and you're going to want to hit the sale date button, which is going to populate all of the sales from latest to soonest. So the point of doing this is that likely sellers typically 99% of the time have owned a property for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So we want to start with the people that have owned it the longest because they're going to be the best conversation. You might get appointments out of them. You're not just going to be totally shoot off from this. So this is what it's going to look like. So you're going to click it once and it's going to go from highest to lowest, lowest to highest. And you'll want the one on the left, obviously. You want from 2003 going down in gradual order. I'm just kind of going right through the process. I have more explanation in the end. So now you copy and paste a name from whatever the page is. So in this example is 871 Atwood Ave. You're going to go over to the owner and you're going to take his name and you're going to bring it over to white pages, and you can cross-reference the city to look up with the city that's in the owner of record. So if you're looking up Cranston and you see in the address that his address is in North Kingston, when you come to white pages, you're going to want to put in that town into the box next to their name. And when you do this, it's going to pull up names. And with that, you're going to want to click the word phone. And when you do that, it's going to pull up their info. So step two of this is find their info. Here we go. We've got a cell phone, two house phones, and we can cross-reference his information that's further down the page with the field card. So in the field card, it says 871 Atwood Ave. That's the address of the property. And you can see that we have that right down here on the right. So this is how you know, okay, I've got a property, I've got a person. Now, what do I do with that information? So cross-referencing. Yeah, so you're going to want to pay attention to that box. There's two ways to verify if it's the right person. You can also do spouse or partner. They typically are a co-owner, depending on the kind of property. And if you can't find any information in white pages with that info given, you can always take the owner of record address and you can backtrack it to see who lives at the address. And a lot of times when you do that, it'll come up with somebody with that same name. It'll come up with an associate. Pretty bulletproof ways to find somebody. So in this situation that I was looking up specifically, I was looking up to see if Alberta, his wife, was listed under relatives. So that way I could confirm yes or no, is this the right person? In this situation, it wasn't. However, the other information that we received in that process pointed that this is the right person that we're looking for in this situation. So this is more of him. This is him. This is just double checking. Um, so that was step one. So step one, identify the right person. Um, Step two, we want to build the database. This is where the money begins. This is what you need. Microsoft Excel would be good. You could use any formatting, any application that has a format where you can put different boxes. So it's going to look like this, and it's 4 simple headers. It's nothing overcomplicated. You want a name, you want a number, you want the address you're calling on, and you want a quick note. Why do you want this? You want to be able to be mobile with this. So if you got to do an hour ride up to Woonsocket or somewhere in Massachusetts, you want to be able to have these numbers readily available. So when you're going up there, you can make the calls and say, "Hey, Mike, calling on whatever this is." Um, and you want to just have that information available. So you sound smart, you sound like you know what you're talking about, you know what you're calling on. You don't want to ever sound like you don't know what you're talking about, because that's when people will hang up. So step one of the database is 4 headers. Let's see, this might be a little bit out of order, but so that's where you're going to take the names from white pages, and you're just going to copy and paste the name into the name section. You're going to take their number. You can copy and paste it directly from white pages. You put in the address you're looking at in your note. Now you have the beginning of a database. So something you're going to also bump into a lot is LLCs. So going back to Cranston, I used another random one, MGH Realty. It's actually, I believe this is a property I actually have. And you take if you get this, you're going to see the LLC right here. Take it, you put it into OpenCorporates. OpenCorporates is a free LLC website. If you're doing databasing and you're going rapid fire, sometimes they will stop you. It's happened to me many times where they just put a halt to my IP address, and you need to go slow because they don't like using this for commercial reasons. So in this situation, we're going to take MGH Realty, we're going to put it in the OpenCorporates website. It's going to pull up this page. And on this page, you're able to get quite a bit of info. First, you know that, what was the address of this one? 149. Let's see. So their house address down here is 53 Derbyshire Drive. When you go to the LLC, you can confirm that this is the correct LLC and the correct person we're looking for. Most of the time when you're doing this, you're going to have the person's name you're looking for right here. If you know Rhode Island well enough and you are attentive enough, a lot of times you'll catch a name there and you'll notice it's an attorney. When you do that, so let's see. So when you do that, you're going to want to go down here to annual reports. So you click view, and it's going to pull up a whole long report. Sometimes it's a page, 2 pages. And you just go to the bottom of it and you look for a name that's different than the attorney or the person listed here that you don't believe is the right contact for the property. So yeah, so yep, I put that here. Field card owner of record. So triple check it. Some names are going to stick out like sore thumbs, like I was saying. When in doubt, Google the name. A lot of times when you're looking up commercial properties, these people are well known. They have articles written on them. You can just Google their name, see what comes up. If dealing with multifamilies or commercial, just like I said, attorneys will sign the paperwork 95% of the time. You can go to the annual reports, and a lot of times you'll see with older LLCs, they'll have reports going back to early 2000s. You want to start with those. So here's how your database is going to look. So your database is going to end up just being 4 boxes and a whole lot of colors. The colors can mean anything in your database. A lot of times in mine, I'll give a number a green number if the number goes through and I make contact. I'll give it a whole red line if it's a no. And then I also have every town and city listed right here on the bottom. And it's just an organized flow of data and information. and you don't need to buy this. Another thing that you can do, which I'm going too fast. Another thing you can do is you can look up entire streets. So let's say that you're driving and you see every other property in the street is a dump. Instead of stopping on every house and getting the number, you could go home and you could say, look, I know for an absolute fact Fifth Street in Cranston is a dump. You could go home, you could go in here and you go, okay, you go to you put in the first letter of the street and it'll populate. You'll hit Fifth Street and it'll pull up every single address. Just like here on the side here. Okay, so I put it there. So all in order, and you can just tab them out. You can open one by one, however you want to do it. But it's a good way that you are able to either yeah. So this is a good way to get a whole street, a whole lot of info and data at once. Because obviously going after individual properties could be a little bit of a pain in the butt depending on what you're doing and where you're looking. And let's see. So yeah, so that's another good means. So when you don't have Vision Government Solutions, you're going to have this page. This page is horrible. The Northeast Reevaluation Group. It's very difficult to navigate, and you don't have as much freedom. But it's just as good. It's not as aesthetic. It doesn't look as nice. But I'm going to teach you also on this side of things how to use it. So we learned Vision Government Solutions, we learned Excel, and we learned OpenCorporates. Now we want to do this one, which every time you open this page, it's going to look like this, and it's not going to allow you to hit the word style. When you bump into that, all you need to do is refresh the page one single time, and that box will be a selection now. And when you do that, you have all of these options. It's an endless list of different types of properties you can look up. You can do the same manipulation with the sale data, with the price, and the dates. You can do everything, the square footage. It's all very similar, but it's not as easy to navigate. And actually, I think that might be it. But yeah, so the whole point of this, going from the start, is likely sellers. So in a market like this, what is a likely seller? A likely seller is somebody that's either hurting financially, they don't want to live there anymore, they don't have use for it, they don't have kids, their kids don't want it. There's a lot of scenarios that exist in a likely sellers, especially in Rhode Island. A lot of these people have owned these properties for 30, 40, 50 years. Some of them are in bad health. Some of them go to Florida a lot. There's a million reasons as to why you're calling these people. In addition, this gets you away from the traditional brokerage model. I think that I know for a fact, a lot of agents rely on getting listings and buyers directly from their brokerage. It's a good, it works for people that don't exactly know 100% of what they're doing. But, I see the chat. Let's see. Thank you, Mike. It's just a very, very good way to be proactive in your business. You don't sit back, you don't wait for leads, you go after your business. That's how this works. You want to, just like it says there, you list and you last. You want listings, you could get buyers through this. You might call multifamily guys. They all say, no, no, we don't want to sell, but we will buy. So you can create another database of buyers. It's a really good way for people to take charge and to get as much commission as they can out of their deals, to learn as much as they can. A lot of times these people don't mind the conversation, but when you're calling people that bought a property in 2019 and you're asking them if he wants to sell it now, guy's probably going to tell you 99% of the time to kick dirt. So this is what I've been using for years, and yeah. It's not an overcomplicated method. It's very quick. 4 websites. One of them you have to pay for. We all have Excel or at least Google Docs that we could use. And that's where I'm at. That's my secret sauce. This is what I've been using for years. I got a lot of listings from this. I got a lot of clients, and I think that this is great for a brokerage model, for somebody at the top to teach other agents how to do it. It's a trickle down effect it could have, and yeah, I think that might be it. It's very simple.
Yeah, Robert, you got a couple of questions from people if they want to unmute themselves and ask them direct to you. I know somebody asked for the listing of those websites again.
Yeah. So, and I could put them in the chat, but if you guys want to write them down, super easy. RIPropinfo.com, OpenCorporates, white pages, or some site of some skip tracing number lookup website. Something I would recommend to anyone that has a little bit of pull in their brokerage, ask your brokerage to get Forewarn. Forewarn's a great site. I think it's under 20 bucks and maybe 20 bucks a month, if that. You can look up infinite numbers on that. You can get on your phone. It gives you more info than White Pages does, like vehicles, further numbers that White Pages doesn't sometimes have.
Is OpenCorporates a .com or a .gov?
.com.
And what was that for? What did you say for?
Forewarn, Forewarn. It's a realtor only app or website, both. So you just inquire, say I'm a realtor, I'm looking to get some info, and they'll give you that typical tutorial that they have to give before they give you pricing and everything. But it's a cheap contract. It's not a lot of money, and it's good for. They have a little more info than White Pages, like I was saying. Like they have background info. You know, if you're meeting up with a guy or a person and you want to look them up and make sure they're legit, and then you pull up their info and it says they've been arrested for fraud 100 times, probably not a good buyer. But yeah, so it's good cross-referencing.
And that was for one Forewarn.
Got it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we also teach that in the safety class as a great way to, when somebody calls about one of your listings and you want to verify who they are, you type the number right in, push the button, and instantaneously, as Robert said, you get every phone number and address they've ever lived at, and a lot of information about them. The other thing too is when you go to get the contract with them, ask them if they have a contract with your company. And I mean your national company, if you belong to a national company, because for most of them, they do. And it's a lot cheaper.
And what was the fourth website, Robert?
So White Pages, or
Yeah.
is it White Page is a little more pricier. They're kind of a ripoff in my opinion.
Oh,
But
I see. Okay.
yeah. But they're good. Like if you're looking up complicated stuff and you're just hitting roadblock after roadblock and you're like, I need to get this person on the phone, I'll use White Pages to get a relative of someone, and I'll call and I'll say, I'll call them and say, pretend I'm looking for the person I'm going after, but I'm calling their sibling. They say, no, this is, whoever. And then you just kind of make some conversation, get the number, and get out of there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Rob, quick question. I apologize for the background noise. So it seems like White Pages will have will cast a wider net for getting names and phone numbers, as opposed to Forewarn is a little bit more like laser focused.
Yeah,
Is
if
that
you
correct?
want, I could show you. I'll give you I'll just put it on my screen so we can all see it. If I can figure out how to share this screen. Let's see. Okay, so can you guys see this screen?
Nothing yet.
Oh, okay.
Still got tools you need up there. There you go.
All right, so now we're on Forewarn. So when you do Forewarn, it's super. Let me show you rid of this. It's super easy. So when you sign in, it's going to give you an option of a phone number or search by name. So let's say I wanted to look up Robert Fox, and we know he lives in Rhode Island, but I also know there's about 4 dozen Robert Foxes in the state, so I got to put in an age restriction. So pull me up, Robert Matthew Fox. It's going to have a bunch of them. Luckily, no criminal record. But it'll say 7, the phone numbers, I know none of these numbers are mine except for one of them. But I will still take them all down just in case. It'll give you addresses. It'll show you, where you've lived, who lives there, It'll show you liens. If they have liens, it'll show you vehicles. So this is it's a lot more bland compared to White Pages. So whoever, I don't know who this is, but on white pages, you look up someone, it'll give you same thing, the addresses down here, it'll give you numbers. A lot of times with white pages, you'll bump into a situation where there's just no cell phone number. Person might be old, they change their number a lot. I never ever cold email, so I've never really looked into these. And then let's say we're looking for Neil and there's no numbers for Neil. Well, we know, let's call Denise. Denise has the same name, around the same age. You pull up hers, she has a cell phone. She has 2 cell phones. You call Denise, you say, hey, I think I have the wrong person, looking for Neil. And she'll say, who are you? You go through the hoops of explaining it and hopefully get the number. So it's a little, you get a little bit more out of forewarn, but at the same time, you don't. It's weird.
Yeah, it looks like Will has a question for you, Robert. Unmute yourself, Will.
Yes, fast people search. It gives you a free way to look up. I dealt with a company. We did a lot of security background checks. So I'm not sure. Have you heard of that? Fastpeoplesearch.com. It's very reliable. You don't have to pay for it.
Oh, I don't know.
You want to try it?
That,
While you're here, yeah. Let me mute.
see. I'm always skeptical about anything that's free because, as I've learned in this world, nothing's free. So let's see. What was it asking me? State? Oh, it's weird. Maybe I just can't spell. Let's see. I got to find the right one. That's the thing.
Yeah, if you want extra information, you might have to pay for like public records, but you have that on the MLS.
Well, it's another site. It's just nothing I'm familiar with, but any site that gets you accurate numbers, which in my case, white pages seems to be has been my go-to for years. Whatever gets you there. But yeah, any more questions, concerns? I can send people if they want the presentation. I could send it to you individually, so you can farm it, figure out how to do it at home. I can also be available for any questions going forward because this is how I built my business. This is how you could sustain a business, and this is how you don't need to rely on somebody.
Do you want us to put it in the chat if you want it, or just talk?
If however you guys want to do this. I could also buff up the presentation from today and add some things that would be helpful, and then we could send it out. Because I definitely think I could add a little more that will answer more questions. Okay. So I think I'm done.
Now, if we had any further questions, can we reach out to you directly?
Absolutely.
What's your contact?
I'll put in the chat.
Okay, thanks.
All right, if there are no further questions, again, thank you for tuning in on this, our third in our series. Again, please remember our sponsors, Navigant Credit Union, All Dry, Shadone Law, and Vantage Builders. If you have an opportunity, a need for any of those services, please reach out to them. Let them know that you heard about them from the Rhode Island Commercial and Appraisal Board. That's what they're paying for, that recognition. And again, if you have people that you're working with that have trades that want to be a sponsor here, we would love to have them as an additional sponsor. We don't have the next date confirmed yet for our professional series, our expert forum, but hopefully it will be either later this month or maybe the beginning of next month. No, we've got a few things going, but again, if there are no further questions, Jack, did you have anything?
I don't, Steve. Nope.
Thank you again, and you will be receiving a certificate for 1 credit hour of continuing ed. And again, if you have any ideas for information and professional series that you would like to see, please, email them to me, to Jack, to anybody on the board. Call the board, call me, and let us know. Otherwise, we're trying to go after what we think is in the mainstream. We're doing one on AI and Chat GPT or GTP, whatever the hell it is. We're going to be doing that probably at our annual meeting. And we've got another program coming up on septic systems. And we have a program, a 3-hour credit on code of ethics to get that in. And Christina Rose is also putting together a class for going from residential to commercial, making that transition and a kind of a primer to the world of commercial real estate. All right, again, if there are no further questions, thank you, Robert. Great program, and thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will all be in touch as to our next series. Thank you.
Great.